Welcome back to Your Mic. My name is Freddie Cruz, founder of Speke Podcasting, and happy International Podcast Day. Today, September 30th, 2025, I have decided to not publish a brand new episode, but rather publish an episode that's currently on Speke Podcasting's longest clients feed. That is The Rose. Their podcast is Let's Talk About Your Breasts. And I'm doing this because there is so much to love about their show. It's mission-driven because The Rose is mission-driven. It's a breast cancer nonprofit. We're coming up on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But because as our longest client, they are open to so many different things, like 31 straight days of podcast episodes every Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Tomorrow starts the third campaign. But when it comes to hosting different formats, when it comes to curating the guests that are on their show, making sure that their guests have a one-of-a-kind experience, they've got a beautiful studio, and they have endured. We started in a conference room with mics to go, and then they have this beautiful, amazing studio that you see on their YouTube channel now. So they have evolved, and we're coming up on 100,000 downloads projected before the end of the year. So without further ado, here's that episode. It's a podcast interview with yours truly and CEO and co-founder of The Rose, my dear friend, Dorothy Gibbons.
Welcome to a special National Podcast Day episode of Let's Talk About Your Breast. I'm Dorothy Gibbons, co-founder and CEO of The Rose, here with our producer, Freddie Cruz, who got this all started for us. Let's Talk About Your Breast, a different kind of podcast presented to you by The Rose, a breast center of excellence and a Texas treasure. You're going to hear frank discussions about tough topics. And you're going to learn why knowing about your breast could save your life.
Dorothy, I came to you in 2022 with a proposition. And I remember messaging you directly on Facebook, and you're like, well, if we're going to meet, it better be at my office.
Yes, you said, I'd love to have coffee one day and just talk to you about something. I said, Freddie, if you're trying to sell me something, then you're going to have to come to me. I don't go to you.
And it was a podcast. And something that resonated with me was that this was on your list of goals to do for quite some time, longer than just a few months.
Right. Freddie, if you remember, I make 104 goals every year. And so I had put that on my goal list in 2019 or so. And each year I never got it accomplished, and I'd move it to the next year. The thing was, I wasn't even listening to podcasts back then. I really didn't know what it was, but I just knew that it would be a way for me to grow and a way to talk about The Rose in a very different way.
Mm-hmm. So what I would like to know is why a podcast, or where you got the idea from. So it was, I want to have a podcast. So was it a conversation that you had with somebody at a networking event, or was it just, I saw this on Facebook and now I want to do it?
You know, Freddie, when I do my goals, I'm usually alone, and it's usually not at work, never at work. And I take that time just to let things come to me. So I don't know. I just knew it was another way to communicate. Mm-hmm. And I knew that we had so many stories of our patients that were never going to get told. You know, we'd bring a patient in and do a video, and that was, there were great videos, but, you know, we were always limited. And I think that's one of the first things you told me in your sales pitch was you get...
Sales pitch.
You get 30. Well, it was. And
it really was.
Yes. You know how grateful I am to you.
And I'm a million times grateful to you, too.
Because when you said, you know, this is where you can talk. You're not going to have someone clip it out. And how many times have I been on TV? or in a radio station. And I go, God, they didn't catch anything I wanted. Or how many times has our folks sent them, here's the key points we want to make. And then you get in the interview and it's totally different.
And 3 minutes is like 30 seconds when you're live on TV. I remember several years ago when we were promoting the shrimp boil together, and you and I met at a local TV affiliate on a Saturday morning. And it was like in the blink of an eye, you and I were already on our way walking out the building.
I know. So I think that I knew about podcasting that way. I had no clue about what it took to make one.
Oh, it's easy.
No, it's not. And when you came along and said, look, Dorothy, the Rose needs a podcast, it was like, oh my gosh. And I would never say this to you normally, but you were an answer to a prayer.
Oh,
truly.
And likewise, I feel the same way.
It was a really interesting time in my life. I had felt like I needed something new. I felt like I needed to stretch. I felt like I needed something, and you reminded me of this that was fun. The world we live in is not always very much fun.
Right. Well, and when you told me, I think this was going into the second year that we were working together, and you told me in no uncertain terms, Freddie, this has to be fun for me. And there were conversations that you and I would have that, this is some of the, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is some of the most fun I've had in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we were talking going into year 2, and I'm like, it's got to be fun. It has to be fun. And so that is a North Star for what we do as a company. The company that I own is like, it has to be fun for everybody.
Right.
Like if you cannot make it fun, then I can't help you, and I haven't done my job as a producer,
And, I think the other thing is, and this has always been true of my personality, I'm curious about people.
Yes.
I really, I'm very much an introvert. You know that. But when I'm sitting talking to someone one-on-one, I go, how did they know that? How did they get there? What was it that led them to this? It's just, I'm fascinated with the resilience of people, fascinated with how they think. And I think one of the things that you've helped to create along with the team, Roxanne and Karina, is a feeling of comfort in this area.
Right.
And once our guests calm down, then they just start talking.
Right, because you and I are used to all of this. You're not I'm looking at the camera right now. What the guest doesn't see, who's never been on a podcast or on TV or on radio, is that they don't see the 3 cameras and the 2 big menacing lights. And so that could be very intimidating to somebody who's not used to a career that you and I have had.
Right.
Yeah, and you make everybody at ease.
Well, maybe, but and
Definitely.
I appreciate that. I think the other thing is, I have a great belief in that if you don't tell your own story, someone else will.
Oh, yes.
And it will not be the story you wanted.
That is correct 1,000 times.
And I think every podcast that we do, we give that person a chance to tell their story in their own way. And it's never, they get to do it, not anybody else. Where so many times when you're on some of these interviews, you kind of feel a little manipulated or whatever. It's to get to some point. And you're always worried, you're going to say something.
Right. But with the, I wouldn't say laxed, but it's the first word to come to mind, with the laxed sort of timeline that we have. We've got, between 20 and 35 minutes to play with.
Right.
That you can talk to Bear about the shrimp boil and being the Rose's first auctioneer, to talking about his wife's experience of breast cancer, and then it can get real heavy, and then you go right back to, hey, join us at the shrimp boil where you can see Bear, and and it's this roller coaster of emotions, but it encompasses what you all have built at the Rose, and also, hey, can you help us out? And by the way, we're going to have fun on June whatever.
Right.
So come on out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've got to really feature some of our employees who have explained the process of mammography in lay people's terms, and exactly as if they were talking to their patients. And suddenly all that mystery and concern about having a mammogram doesn't seem so scary anymore.
Right.
And that has been a real pleasure. So what do you think about the patient interviews we've had?
The patient interviews, sometimes I will leave here and I'll get in my car and just start weeping.
Yeah.
You and I both know Jennifer Parrish through another one of our podcast partners, the Lighthouse of Houston, and I had no idea she was going through breast cancer. Right. And that's an episode that you all definitely want to listen to because she lost her dad during that time too. And that was real because I'm a dad, and that was heavy. And then there's Monsi, the 18-year-old survivor. And then a behind-the-scenes moment that really just, I think we were all moved was when Dr. Boniface got to meet her. And that was off camera.
Right.
And I still have that moment on my phone, and I'll watch that.
So here is a young girl at 18 who didn't have insurance, who we sponsored, took us through to biopsy, and referred her on to Harris Health. And there is where she met Dr. Boniface. But the unique part was Dr. Boniface took such a special interest in Monsi and did not want to leave her until she arranged, and it truly was hers, to find another doctor to do the reconstruction, to do all those things. And what was it, 10, 12 years?
About that.
Yeah, and they both got to meet. It was a very, very special moment. Another one that I always think about is Joanne Patterson.
Oh, yes.
Did we not have fun with her?
Yes, she was so much fun and so positive when this is someone
Unbelievable.
This is someone who you would justify as like, I can see why you would have a negative outlook on life, but she's anything but that. So positive.
Of course, and then it was our yoga person, Nancy.
Oh, Nancy. Yeah, made me do
got you to do some yoga.
Was that the tiger pose? No.
It was supposed to be the child's pose.
Child's pose.
Freddie, that's supposed to be the easiest pose anyone can ever
I'm a little stiff.
Oh my gosh. But I think the other thing that we've tried to do in this podcast is to give solid examples. Well, we don't do it, the patients do it, or the guests do it, about being your own advocate.
Yes, that's a big one.
That has been a big one.
Yeah. So many times, and you would think that for the most part that we have evolved, that you would think that physicians would listen to their patients, and that's not the case.
Mm-hmm. Or that there's so many rigid rules. I don't know any other way. You're not supposed to have a mammogram until you're 40.
Right.
How many young women have we diagnosed? How many women have we diagnosed who had just had a baby? Mm-hmm. I mean, that series just amazed me. It was so eye-opening.
And hearing the episodes, so what I envision is that there are women and their families out there who might just happen to know of the Rose, who hear a podcast interview of someone that got diagnosed when they were pregnant, or someone who's physically fit and has objectively has no reason to catch cancer, to get it. Although we all have cancer cells, but they hear these stories and they're like, "Oh wow, that's important. I should get myself checked out."
Or they hear it and think, I've had a feeling.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yes.
I think everyone has intuition. I think sometimes women can be a little more in tune with it,
and maybe don't want to listen to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, all the things that we are afraid of, want to ignore, want to deny. Never any criticism from this chair, but that's the way we are. And we're going to find some other person to take care of first. That came up a lot.
While men get it, it's overwhelmingly women who get breast cancer, and it's oh, I found a lump, but you know what? I've got to take care of the kids.
Right.
I've got to go to work.
Yeah.
There's a story of Jessica. I was at a podcast networking event, and we were talking about the Rose and the podcast, and I was talking about Jessica's story because that one really hit home. Here you have a mom. Here she's fit and is very active and works at a breast cancer nonprofit organization and was putting others first before herself.
Right. Yeah. She had an event to get through. She had an organization to run.
Yeah.
But what a warrior she is now for breast cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was another one of the tougher ones to get through.
Mm-hmm. What about our community guests that have come in? The people have supported the Rose. Did you have any idea that we had that kind of community support from so many different organizations?
So just recently, the Port of Houston, which is, I mean, you would not.
Where's the connect there?
Where's the connect?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is awesome. Mm-hmm. You had the Crowder Foundation?
Yes. Well, the Crowder Foundation, which Bill and Helen Crowder Foundation, were the ones that got the studio going for us.
Right.
And we also had Celanese that came on. Do you remember that one? Yeah. Now, when we think of the podcast that truly moved us, I think Mike Hazelriggs.
Yes.
And his ride, it was just for Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we did a series on that, and it's, again, that what you do for love, what you're willing to do for love.
And he suffered. I mean, you would think, oh, it's just a motorcycle ride. No, that was not a motorcycle ride.
And I remember when he said, now, I hope I don't scare you when I come in. and then when I met him, I was going, wow, you are a big guy.
So you had never met him in person until he came in.
If I had him, Freddie, it didn't click.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, he was a very special guest. So why else are podcasts important?
Everyone is interesting in my eyes. There's something interesting that is going on between the ears. And so many times we either silence ourselves or allow others to influence us to silence ourselves, right? And I think the art of podcasting enables people who would otherwise not have the opportunity, that if for some reason that one young woman or young man or middle-aged or elderly person who had something to say and now they're emboldened and now they're empowered to do it, and now they can do it. And then they can transmit not just to a local radio frequency, but all over the world.
That has been an eye-opener. When you bring your numbers in and go, do you know that Let's Talk About Your Breast is number 2 or 13 or whatever in a country, what was India one time?
India, I feel like one of the countries in the UK, like Ireland or something. In Asia, I think y'all are number whatever in Singapore. And does it help with fundraising, recruitment, or whatnot? Okay, maybe not. Also, the message of breast cancer awareness is getting out there, and the education and the stories are reaching people who obviously need to hear them, and they're not getting that service in their home country. And that is the magical thing about podcasting, that one might not think that when they consider starting, they don't really think about that.
Well, and there's all different kind of pressure if you're going to get into podcast. But I think we can't put a dollar sign on the joy of hearing another person's story. I don't think there's there's any way we can do that. So for National Podcast Day, what's a message you have?
I used to think that everybody should have a podcast, but I no longer think that.
Oh, why?
I think there's so many zombie podcasts out there, podcasts that just kind of give up after a few episodes for no good reason other than, no one listened to me, so I'm just going to give up. Now I think that everyone should have a podcast as long as, and this is adding the caveat, as long as you are willing to go the distance for at least 25 episodes or 2 years. It's 2 years if you do 2 episodes per month, right? Mm-hmm. So that's my advice.
Well, I'm so glad we were your first clients because you had us doing 20 episodes before we ever even launched it.
That's correct. Yes.
You did.
That is correct.
Thought, this is the way it's supposed to be done.
No, but I've got a friend, and his name is George, and he's got George Blitch. His podcast is the Son of a Blitch podcast. And something he told me really resonates with me is that his whole first year, he didn't even look at his analytics because he wanted to treat the year as a masterclass and learn every single week how he can improve and how he can be a better steward of his guests' time and how he could be a better steward of his listeners' time. And so he didn't look at any of the data that we all look at that is important to us. Mm-hmm. So it's
great advice.
It's great advice, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would say that anybody who wants to launch a podcast and has the fortitude to stick it out and the means and the bandwidth to do it like that.
Well, we're celebrating National Podcast Day. We're celebrating over 250. How many episodes do we have now?
It's north of that.
North of that. We're celebrating having more than 80,000 downloads, and we're celebrating all of our guests.
Yes.
That have given us one thing that you can never get back, and that's a little bit of their time. And the other thing is their story.
And they have no idea who is going to listen to it that needed to hear it at that time.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Freddie, again for getting us going.
Thank you.
Hanging in there with us.
And you were an answer to my prayers.
Oh, thank you, Freddie.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk About Your Breasts. This podcast is produced by Speke Podcasting and brought to you by The Rose. Visit therose.org to learn more about our organization. Subscribe to our podcast, share episodes with friends, and join the conversation on social media using hashtag Let's Talk About Your Breasts. We welcome your feedback and suggestions. Consider supporting The Rose. Your gift can make the difference to a person in need. And remember, self-care is not selfish. It's essential.